Hey, just a quick thank you to everybody who subscribed to the channel. We just could not do an independent year-round college football show without you, so thank you.
Welcome to the Solid Verbal. And now, Dan and Ty.
There is something about a Greg Schiano team making wholesale changes on defense, going extreme in the portal, hiring a new coordinator, a history of Greg Schiano teams figuring out defense, and finally taking a really interesting step forward on offense last year that maybe I have a soft spot. Maybe I'm rooting for him. Maybe I just liked watching Antwan Raymond last season as he came on, and the receivers, both receivers under the Greek Freak. I don't know. That Rutgers, a feisty Rutgers to me is not out of reach.
Rutgers went 5-7 last year. The offense produced a 3,000-yard passer, a 1,000-yard rusher, and a 1,000-yard receiver for the first time together since 2007. So it felt as if there was some progress on that side of the ball. But on the other side, on defense, Rutgers was terrible. They were 95th in defensive SP+, 136th, dead last in explosive plays allowed, second from the bottom in sacks. A bunch of numbers here that I could list off that all prove that they were really, really bad on defense. And then to boot, they had 4 blown second half leads. They had 3 of those blown in the fourth quarter alone. They also had a late interception after a really good first half against Iowa. They botched a shotgun snap before they missed a field goal in a 3-point loss to Minnesota. And they had a scoop and score in that Penn State game on a play-action fumble that tipped the balance of that one as well. So you can kind of see it a couple different ways, depending on your point of view on the Rutgers side. On offense, definitely meaningful improvement. On defense, it was horrible. But then somewhere in between, you had these moments. Often football is a game of moments. These moments that went against Rutgers and no doubt contributed to a 5-7 season.
I agree. I think there's life there. I think I'm choosing to look at the competitive nature of some of those games, their schedule this season, combined with, look, if they get something from quarterback once again, a reclamation project, it might be Dylan Lonergan at quarterback.
Yep.
I still like the skill talent. Their schedule is situationally kind of interesting. I don't know how much you've looked at their slate this year.
I've got it in front of me, yeah.
So they get SC before SC's tear of difficulty.
Yep.
And they host SC. SC has to fly to New Jersey before SC hosts Oregon and Washington before they themselves go back to the East Coast to play Penn State.
Yep.
Okay, so there's that element to them. When you look at the potentially winnable games for Rutgers on this schedule, they have Maryland on the road, but it's a week before then. Maryland has Ohio State on the road.
Right.
Northwestern has something brutal, I believe, around it. Yeah, Northwestern right after it has Oregon, Iowa, Ohio State, right after they host Rutgers.
Yeah.
Rutgers has Wisconsin on the road a week after Wisconsin has Iowa on the road. Like, there's just moments here for Rutgers that if there is something feisty about this Rutgers team, if some of these smaller school transfers, because that's what they are, a lot of these guys for Rutgers, if some of these guys work out, I don't have a ton of confidence that they will, but I think the schedule does put them in enough of a position to make it an interesting conversation, right?
This is one of the more interesting sandwich games that I circled in all of the notes that I've been taking for all these power schools.
Yeah.
Michigan Wolverines. Okay.
Agree.
Michigan Wolverines come off of a bye. They host Penn State. They host Indiana. Back-to-back weeks. On Halloween, Dan, they are on the road against Rutgers. So 2 teams that I think at that point will be ranked. No doubt. Penn State, Indiana. Now you're on the road against Rutgers. The following week, you come back home to square off against Michigan State, rivalry. And then after that, as we get into November 14th, week 11, you're back on the road this time against Oregon. So clearly in that stretch of games, Michigan State might end up being the worst of the lot, but for sure they're going to be on the radar for Michigan. The team that I think they are most inclined to overlook would be Rutgers away on Halloween where everyone's going to be dressed up. I'm not saying they're beating Michigan, but in terms of sandwich spots, there's like a double-decker layer on both sides of that Rutgers meet.
Yeah.
That I think is going to be a little bit more on Michigan's radar than certainly the Rutgers Scarlet Knights.
Absolutely do not go to the Rutgers meet subreddit.
No, do not go to Rutgers meet
Not
subreddit.
what you think it is, and
no.
I know what you think it is. Not what you think it is.
Schiano did respond, though, by kind of nuking the defense.
Yeah.
And he's bringing in Travis Johansson, who comes over from South Dakota. He's been very successful at lower levels of college football. It's an open question as to whether or not a contingent of FCS and G6 transfers are going to hold up against the likes of USC and Indiana and Penn State and all the teams we just described. But he's at least trying something different, and he's at least turning to a guy who's had some success, albeit at a much different level of college football. So I agree with you. I also think, like, to your point, Antwan Raymond at running back is a really interesting piece. KJ Duff out wide is a monster.
Mm-hmm.
If they can get any kind of consistency at quarterback, presumably from Dylan Lonergan, who played a season ago at Boston College, has some Power 4 experience. I think there are elements of this Rutgers team that, again, if you squint, you could find quite interesting. I'm just not sure what the ceiling looks like for these guys.
It's a bowl. It's 6-6, 7-5.
It's 6-6 and 7-5. The over/under is 4.5. So I've got them. It's a drive for 6 situation for sure.
Yeah,
I've got them at 5-7.
I have 6-6.
Okay.
Look, their winnable games are set up nicely, right? Getting BC, I think BC's on the road. UMass that finished with Michigan State a week after Michigan State, I believe, hosts Oregon again. So yeah. Oregon softening up another opponent for Rutgers.
They got to steal one. If they want to get to a bowl, they're going to need to steal one of those games. It doesn't look obvious to me who that team's going to be. But I do think that, at least on offense, there's enough talent there to be interesting. It's just, can they get any better on defense?
Look, Rocco Becht knows a lot of things. He doesn't know Rutgers.
Okay. Fair enough.